Tonight I'm making a big pot of soup in my Aunt Carmen's 1960s Dutch oven. I'm hosting some friends for a nice warming fall dinner, and using this pot just perpetuates my family's tradition of hospitality, and I'm really excited to show you how I'm doing it, because I think most of us really deep down wish we were hosting more, but we're not doing it enough. And in this video, I'm going to reveal to you some of the simple secrets that make it easy to host more, and my special formula that makes it effortless. I would love for you to comment below and tell me about the last time you hosted and what you cooked for your guests, and maybe tell me more about who you would like to invite next. Look at this pot. It is my Aunt Carmen's 1960s Le Creuset pot. It used to be enameled, and well, it kind of still is, but the enamel has worn out a fair bit, and it is still safe to use. Those are not chips, it's just the enamel that's worn out at the bottom. So I'm still using it today. My mother was the youngest of 11 children, and sadly my mother lost her mother when she was only 10 years old, and my Aunt Carmen, the eldest child, took over as the family matriarch at that time. And Carmen, for 5 decades, hosted countless people, and this pot was used for making beans, and it made a lot of beans in here. She hosted all the relatives, and heaven knows I have many, as well as friends, neighbors, and practically everyone that even just stopped by their tiny small town in the lowlands of agricultural land in Quebec. Their door was always open. When my aunt sadly passed away, I was very grateful to inherit the pot, and I vowed to continue this tradition of hospitality, continue to use the pot to cook really good bean and vegetable dishes that I would be able to share with loved ones, as well as old friends and new friends alike. In this video, I will do 3 things. I will show you my simple method for making easy soup that is warming, sweet, perfect for the fall, and I do that by roasting the vegetables in the pot. I'm going to show you that. I will also make a side, because while the vegetables are in the oven, there is enough time to do something else, so I will prepare a side of roasted tofu and vegetable skewers to go with the soup, and I will tell you, when I have a moment in between cooking tasks, I will tell you about the hosting formula that I'm using to make it really easy on myself to host more and just enjoy life more. Because really, that's what matters, spending time with people we enjoy the company of, eating together, sharing stories, having deep conversations, and just being together, and food is just a beautiful pretext to do that. All right, so what we're going to be doing here is roasting the vegetables in the pot first to make them sweeter, and then we are going to finish cooking on the stovetop with the lentils and some broth added, and this allows for really imperfect chopping. We don't need to dice really carefully. We just need to cut the vegetables so they go in the oven. And as I'm just preparing the veggies here, I'm going to tell you about the hosting formula that I'm doing. So this dinner that I'm hosting tonight with my friends, I call it Soup and Sparks, and I invite really a lot of people, but there's only 5 spots. So the first 5 people who are SVP get the spot, and I commit, as the name indicates, to making soup, and if there's time I also make an appetizer, but there's no guarantee, and they each bring something. Someone commits to bringing a dessert, somebody brings fruit, someone brings drinks or maybe herbal teas, fruit infusion, something like that, and someone brings hummus or, you know, a non-dairy spread, and another person is committed to bringing bread or crackers. And that is it. It is so simple. So I don't need to cook all day, and I just need to prepare the soup. And what's nice about this also is that by the time they arrive, everything is done. I don't need to continue working hard in the kitchen and miss out on the conversation. And the reason it's called Soup and Sparks is that each dinner has a topic for conversation and some prompts, so that for the duration of the dinner, we're quite focused on deep conversation, and that brings us closer together. There's a little bit of vulnerability that happens in there, and that's actually a good thing. That's what makes friendships get closer. And not everyone comes in knowing each other, but then people feel closer together by the end of the evening. So I'm doing nothing really exotic here, just preparing basic soup vegetables and putting them in the pot, as you can see. And now I'm going to go for the squash. And I know many of you are peeling squash, but here's the good news. You don't have to. I'm just removing the dry ends for starters. And then I'm going to cut this in half. This is not the best knife for the job. Oh, not too bad. Okay, here we go. And I'm going to remove the seeds. There's not many, and frankly, I don't think they're worth saving. If I was the kind of person who's organized enough to make my own vegetable broth, I would definitely keep them. But that's not me at this time in my life. So I'm just removing the seeds here, as you can see. Up, up, up. There we go. And I'm going to dice the squash really roughly, and that is good enough. I don't need to dice it to perfection. So having this flat surface on my squash means that it's not rocking and making things dangerous for me. Here we go. Now I'm going to dice it so it roasts faster. I think like no more than 3/4 inch kind of cubes. Up. This one's a bit big. There we go. And at the end, I'm going to blend it all, and nobody will notice that there ever was skin in there. It's quite amazing. All the things we do sometimes in the kitchen that we don't need to do. Up. I'm going to put these ingredients in the pot, and the soup will also have red lentils. So first, here we go. I'm going to dice this and roast the core vegetables of the soup. That's just half there. Okay, second half of the squash. And in a little bit, I will add garlic and ginger. It will make for a really nice, warming fall soup. And I will add at the same time, actually after that, I will add broth and red lentils. And that will make a complete meal, especially with the hummus that will join the table. My friend is bringing hummus, another friend is bringing bread or crackers. I'm not sure what it is. I told them what I was making, but really it doesn't matter a great deal. And another thing that's great about this formula of hosting is that often when we host, there's just too much food. I mean, that's a kind of a good problem to have, but also it can feel wasteful. We end up eating the same thing for several days, dealing with the leftovers. Some of them will not get eaten. And so this concept of hosting keeps things really simple. Are you ready? Okay, it's coming in the oven. 3, 2, 1, up. I'm going to also just really quickly prepare my ginger and garlic, but I will add them to the soup a little bit later. I'm just cutting the dry parts of the knob, but I don't need to peel it. That's also a myth. No need to peel your ginger, guys. And again, having a flat layer to rest the veggies on means that there's less risk of going roly-poly and cutting ourselves. So I'm going to add the garlic and ginger in a little bit once the vegetables are almost fully roasted, because I don't want to overcook the ginger, especially the garlic. Actually, I don't want to overcook the garlic. I'm just removing the skins off the garlic. Another clove. Someone in my group prefers not to have too much garlic. They're still my friend, even if they're not a fan of garlic. So I'm going easy here, and you may have noticed I only put in 1 onion for that big pot of soup. I think it will be okay. It will still be very tasty. I'll make sure to add plenty of spices, and it will be a delicious, soup. And so I'm also going to make those skewers with tofu and roasted vegetables. I'm going to make a marinade, but actually I'm not going to really marinate the veggies for long in there. I'm putting a little bit of sweetener. That was maple syrup, and that was apple cider vinegar that I just added. I'm going to add some mustard. Whoop, there we go. And what else? A little Aleppo pepper for a little bit of kick, and some herbs. Oregano is my favorite. There we go. And some garlic powder, as well as, see, I'm not bothering to measure. This is not an exact science. This is lemon flesh, lemon paste that I've blended together and frozen. And of course, some fresh ground pepper. Quite a bit. We want that tofu to be tasty. And finally, a little bit of salt, about ½ a teaspoon here. And I'm going to blend this all together, and I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil, but not as much as you would normally see in a recipe for a marinade. This is about maybe 3 tablespoons, 3 tablespoons that I added for 2 full blocks of tofu. Okay, now I've got my marinade. And what I'm going to do now is just dice the tofu. And it's going to be kind of bigger dice because I'm going then to skewer it all up. So I'm making these cuts. And I'm going to put the tofu in the oven with the marinade on top. And that is how I'm going to get the skewers. Going to blend it into the marinade and roast it for a little bit. I was thinking I would do 2 packs of tofu, but maybe that's too much. I think I'll do just 1 package of tofu here. So delicately, I don't want to hurt my tofu too much. This, by the way, is Soyganics, I think. No, it's Vancouver Sunrise Organic Firm Tofu, the package with the blue and brown label, and it is well suited for this. It's not too hard, not too soft. It will hold really well on the skewers. And I'm going to transfer it here to the baking sheet. And yeah, I'm not going to do the second one. I think just 1 is enough, making sure that the tofu cubes don't touch each other so they can cook nicely and not steam. And I'm going to pop them in the oven with the ingredients from the soup that are still roasting. Now for the skewers, I'm just going to cut the veggies and get them ready right now into pieces. So what about, let's do it like this. I think this is going to work, being a little bit more careful than usual in making my veggie pieces. I'm just putting the zucchini here in the same bowl that had the marinade in it. There's not much marinade, but why waste it? And when I assemble the skewers, I will put about 3 pieces of each of the vegetables. So the zucchini, the roasted red peppers, well, they're not roasted yet. The zucchini, the bell peppers, and some mushrooms. And that will make a super simple appetizer along with the tofu. Okay, so that's the zucchini, now the bell pepper. That's my favorite way to prepare bell peppers. Thank you to my friend Caroline for teaching me this method. Oops. I'm just going to make big enough pieces. Voila. And this one, a little bit of seeds and white, doesn't really matter. So each bell pepper here gives 12 pieces. Let's just do this half. I think that will be enough. Doesn't need to be perfect, but it will be delicious. And finally, the mushrooms, I will just cut them in half and put them back in this container here. Up. I've rinsed them quickly with water. They didn't soak in water, so they're going to be perfectly fine and really quite delicious. Up. Okay, here we go, mushrooms. So now I just need to assemble the kebabs. So while things are roasting here, let's just recap. What I'm doing, I'm making a soup by putting the vegetable directly inside the soup pot in the oven to roast and get more sweet and delicious. And they're still in there for a few more minutes. At the same time, I've got some tofu pre-roasting. I will take the tofu out and skewer it up with those vegetables, those red bell peppers, the mushrooms, and also the zucchini. And that will be my side dish. And for the soup, I'm just going to add water that's already super hot from the kettle, along with broth, vegetable broth powder, and red lentils. And it will cook all together and it will make a perfectly complete soup. And the key element here is the friends that are coming over. That's the most important part of the dinner. And on that note, I want to say you have to make a messy hosting contract with your friends. They come over, you do not do heroic cleaning before they come. No, you just, maybe wipe the bathroom counter clean. That's sure, fine. Make sure that they don't step on a toy like right when they come in the door. But otherwise, don't go through heroics to clean up the house. No. Keep it the way it is. What's really important is the company, it's being together, it's sharing that really good food. So please agree to do messy hosting and not to go through heroics to clean up your home before people come. So I'm just going to add the ginger and the garlic to the soup here. They're in this little bowl. I'm popping them in. And I'm going to stir everything, careful not to burn my hands. You can see there's some caramelizing going on. The vegetables are definitely way softer, and I'm going to leave them in just for another, let's say 10 minutes, maybe not even that much. Just waiting for the water to boil, and then I pop this on the stovetop. And now we are going to get the soup going on the stovetop so that we can add some lentils to it. Here's the soup. We're going to give it a good stir without burning hands. And it's already got garlic and ginger in there. I'm going to add some other spices and start the pot on medium heat. So I'm going to add cumin. That's roughly a bit over a tablespoon. If you know me, you know I love cumin. And some turmeric. And a tiny bit of cayenne pepper, but not too much. And for the cayenne, I'm actually going to use a spoon to be on the safe side. That was a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. And what else do we need in there? Maybe paprika? What do you think? I think smoked paprika is in the right color scheme for this soup. And I'm going to blend it a little bit more. And now add the broth powder. And, oh, the veggies are nice and soft already, so I'm just adding the broth powder and the red lentils. I'm going to add, let's say, a cup and a half. A cup and a half? What do you think? Those are quarter cups. Let's start with a cup and a half red lentils and some broth powder. And then we're going to add water. So I'm going to add 6 cups of boiling water. And this broth powder here is suggested 2 cups of water per teaspoon of broth powder. So I'm just going to add the water here that I've boiled in the kettle. And scraping the bottom to make sure there's nothing stuck. And there isn't. And it's as simple as that. So now I'm going to bring it to a boil and allow it to simmer for probably about 15 minutes and my soup will be done. I will blend it with a stick blender and that'll be it. So I've got the tofu here and the skewers that I soaked in water for just a few minutes to prevent them from burning, I guess, and my mushrooms. So I'm going to put zucchini and then a piece of tofu. That's hot, caution, and a half mushroom. Here we go, and a piece of bell pepper. And keep going like so until each skewer has about 3 pieces of tofu. I'm going to give everyone a little bit of red pepper as well. That may not all fit. A mushroom, oops. Should have anticipated that. You gotta be careful with where you pass the skewer. Okay, a piece of tofu and another piece of zucchini here, and that is my first skewer. There we go. And I'm going to pop all this in the oven. So my soup is done now. Look at how beautiful it looks. Woo, look at this beautiful orange soup, full of health. I have the vegetable and tofu skewers in the oven. They're going to be ready in 5 minutes when my friends start to arrive, so I have to clean everything now, just to remove the cameras, right? And I hope this inspired you to host the simple way to do something that goes in the oven, like this soup. You just need to finish it on the stovetop, no stress. You don't have to do the vegetable and tofu skewers. Just get your friends to bring hummus, bread, maybe fruit, maybe herbal tea to enjoy. Everybody feels that they've contributed to the meal. Keep it simple, keep your house messy, no heroics for cleaning, and focus on what really matters, which is the conversations, the connection with your loved ones, with your friends, old and new. I hope this was inspiring, I hope this was helpful, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. So don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss my next video when I open the door again. See you soon.